welcome back to another episode here on the Mind and Muse Crafts channel. I am Caroline, your host, and thank you for joining me this morning. If you are a new viewer, if it's the first time that you have pressed that watch button, I want to thank you for taking that step, for daring to follow me on these short episodes where I talk to you about basically the crafty side of my life, the things that I do in my crafty adventures, what things I create, what things I see, what things I would like to make, and I kind of like to share all of that with you. I guess I am better known on this channel as a crocheter because that's what the majority of the projects that I undertake are crochet. Every once in a while I do some knitting, and I haven't done for the longest time, but it is one of my most desired crafts. I needle felt, and so as you can see behind me, I am sharing with you today in sort of like this new, not so new setup, because I'm in the same place just in a different corner. But I wanted to share with you because some people have asked on previous episodes or on Instagram about the paintings that are on my wall when I do some little snapshots of my daily life. And these two paintings that I have here were purchased. They are from Melissa of Acorn Willows. She's Acorn Willows on Instagram, and most likely Acorn Willows on Ravelry, though I must admit that I haven't checked that out in a while. But anyway, she is an artist, and among other materials that she works with wool, and these are two of her wool paintings. That one I purchased myself and the other I was gifted last Mother's Day from my husband, of course with some direction from myself, because she does that every once in a while. She makes items that are available for sale, and so I was lucky enough to be able to purchase these two, and they are just among my favorites, my very favorite wall art that I have around me in my home. So if you get a chance, go stop by, pay her a visit, go and check out some of her things. I can assure you that you will not regret it. Recently, she also presents some of her work at Trox Gallery, which is, I believe, a gallery in Kansas where she is from. They are also available online, and she is among other artists of which they present, exhibit, and sell items from on their site, and I imagine also in their physical place. But obviously, well, I don't know if it's obvious. If you are a new viewer, I film from my home in Puerto Rico. I live on the western side of the island of Puerto Rico, which is in United States Commonwealth in the Caribbean, and so yes, I do not live in Kansas. So I am not anywhere near being able to purchase physically from her, but luckily there are a lot of things online as of late, and well, the Trox Gallery is one of them. So, welcome to this episode. It is again another episode in my Stashbusting series that, if you were here a couple of weeks back, I began a new series in my podcasting episodes. So I began to recount, like I was at maybe 48, and so this might be about 50, 51. I don't know. It all depends if we're going to count those episodes in which I shared the screen with my daughter Elizabeth, and I was talking about a specific project, just one project, if that would count as a podcast, regular podcast or not. And why not? It's on my channel, and I am talking about crafty things there, even though it was just one thing. So, well, if you're counting in that sense, we may be beyond 50 at the moment, but I started a recount, so this is, I guess, Stashbusting number 3 or something like that. Anyway, most of what I want to present to you, if not all, that I present to you in this new series is are items that I have crafted with yarn that I already possess, or fiber that I already possess, or maybe even, as what I'm going to show you today, fiber that I borrow from a neighbor. That works too, okay? I'm helping her decrease her stash, but her lending me some yarn allows me not to have to repurchase. Of course, there will be moments where I will need to repurchase because I do want to do a specific project and I won't have the yarn to do it, but I'm trying to hold back on that and use as much of my stash as I can. And it will be an exercise for all of us. An exercise for all of us. And how do I do this? Do I look at my stash and then find a project that goes with that yarn? Or do I look at patterns and then find something in my stash that I could make that pattern with? Because I think it goes both ways, and I don't think I have always been that great about working from my stash and looking at my stash and saying, okay, here is a yarn, what can I make with it? Which I think would probably be the most effective, but I'm not there yet. I still don't have down packed a, what would we call this? A plan for following, in an orderly manner, how I'm going to decrease my stash. We will see how it goes. For now, I'll talk to you about the 3 projects, 1, 2, 3, that I have on the go. One of them I won't say much about because it is the project that I am working jointly with Clarissa, who is my daughter and who's also the host of the Crochet Cakes podcast. And she has crochet cakes basically everywhere on the internet. And she decided, she just so graciously, she does other things. She's a pattern designer and she's very busy at trying to get that part of her life formed into a business. And maybe a little selfishly, I requested of her to join me on this venture of picking from our stash yarns, actually, and on her side and on mine, creating the Harry Styles cardigan, which is actually a cardigan that was designed by J.W. Anderson, and they even produced a pattern for knitting that they put up free on the internet, and I have it here. The pattern is compiled by Ruth Herring, and she is called Confessions of a Yarnaholic on Instagram. There's a snapshot of the pattern that was created by J.W. Anderson for Harry Styles, and the pattern was compiled by Ruth Herring. And like I said, it is on the internet. If you go to the episodes that we have up about the Cal that Elizabeth and myself are running to make this cardigan, it's on my channel, and it is called the Oddments Cal, and there you will find a link to this pattern if you would prefer to make this pattern in knit. So, the Oddments Cal, I've already mentioned the name. The Oddments Cal is a cal jointly being run by Clarissa and myself with the sponsorship of Rosina of the Zines and Roger podcast, because Rosina actually put out her own version, her own crochet version of this cardigan, and she also put up the details for free on her blog at zinesandroger.com. And so Clarissa contacted her and asked and requested if she would allow us to run a cal to invite other people to follow her recipe for making this version of the Harry Styles cardigan. And she accepted, and she's also sponsoring us with a couple of patterns if and when we decide to choose people from participants that join us on this adventure. We might have a giveaway there. And so let me just see if I can. So Rosina has her own blog, and in her blog this says one photo of her version that Elizabeth and I are trying to recreate with some modifications, right? With some modifications because you always get to put your own twist into things, and Rosina was very clear that that was allowed. And so we are recreating this cardigan in the sense that we are both using her recommended recipe, in which instead of doing squares, you simply do a continuous crochet of 9 squares across, using 18 stitches for each square. She used Aran weight yarn and a 6mm hook and a 6mm hook, and I have decided to use DK weight yarn, as has Clarissa, because it's what I had most of in my stash. And I am using a 4.5mm hook. I believe Clarissa is using something else. You can check her channel for more details that, or you can look back at some of the previous episodes of the Oddments Cal. What do we call them? The Oddments Cal episodes. Okay, so we both chose 9 colors, if you'll remember. And as I say, we are doing continuous squares. We are not joining squares because neither of us is very fond of hiding ends, and you would have much more ends to hide if you were using squares than if you are using this continuous method. It's kind of like gingham, but we're using more colors than you would probably use for a gingham crochet. But anyway, the idea is, what did I want to do today? I just wanted a little bit of an update on more or less where I'm at, because it's exciting that I am at a point where I can now break for the sleeves, and I'm not too clear on how that is going to be done. Very excited about this new square that's coming up here, because I actually took this other pale green color, that paley mint color. I said pale mint, and that's actually called Mojito. And it was one of the thinnest yarns, so I joined it up with a yarn that I had in my stash, and putting those 2 colorways together, I got this, and I think it's lovely. But anyway, I am at a point now. We did one more row than Rosina because of the fact that I'm using here 4-inch squares instead of 5-inch squares, and I'm using a 4.5mm hook instead of a 6, so I am getting a project that is maybe 9 inches smaller than hers vertically. So I put in an extra square here before I actually break for the sleeves. Okay, so yes, so there it is. Just a quick update. I don't know if Clarissa and I will be doing another episode soon. She's very busy, as am I. I love this one too. Just our version of the animal print ones, where we just decided, both of us, to choose a yarn from our stash that we knew would pool, and the pooling kind of made those the areas where it pooled looked like little spots, and so I'm very happy with that. Also, I have some texture there. I'm happy with that, and this is just amazing. I love working on it. I even thought at one point that I think I should make this into a blanket. I'm still thinking that it would look lovely as a blanket, and it would work lovely as a blanket also, but I don't know. I've got a couple of rows left before I actually have to decide whether I'll split or whether I'll just continue making this into a lap blanket. But you know what? Especially now that my daughter, I have an older daughter who's not into crafting whatsoever, but we do talk frequently, and she noticed, because she follows my Instagram account, she noticed that I was making this, and she said, "Oh, Mom, I saw that very colorful scarf you were working on." And I said, "Oh, geez, that looks like that Doctor Who scarf that I don't remember the name of because I don't watch Doctor Who." But I was thinking, oh, but what if instead of a Doctor Who scarf, I made her a Doctor Who blanket? Would that be appreciated? I don't know. But I'm very tempted. Because I have said many times that I don't know if I'll wear this because I don't have a grand necessity of sweaters here on the island because it is it's mostly burning hot. It is this time of year where it gets cooler, and up in the mountains, I do not live in the mountains. I live near the western side of the island. I live more near the ocean. And so, but there does come a time where, like this part of the year, where we get a lot of breezes, and up in the mountains it can sometimes go down to 55 or 60 degrees. And yes, we don't have any kind of protection in our houses to switch the channel if the temperature suddenly becomes cold. So we just dress warmer, you know? And so, yeah, every once in a while, I might be able to use it. There's a lot of wool in here. There are blends of acrylic with cotton, acrylic, 100% acrylic. There's a 100% merino, or 75-25 merino also. This one is 100% merino, and you know, there's all kinds of stuff here. And so maybe it would make a better blanket than it would for me. A more, well, not for me because I'd be gifting it, but maybe it might make a more useful project if I were to make it into a blanket. So I'm still considering that. Let me all know what you think down at the bottom. A cardigan of many colors reminds me of a song that, I don't know if any of you are from the era of Carole King, and she had a song called Tapestry. And one of the phrases that always sticks to my mind is where she has one of her phrases about a man who comes along the road with a coat of many colors, yellow-green on either side. And so it just, that has stuck to me all of my life since I was probably a teenager. No, I was very much less than a teenager, maybe 9 or 10 years old at most. But one of my older sisters was a fan, and this was an era where she was going a little hippie on us, and so she was very into Carole King. And so, yes, I do remember that. And so here's my coat of many colors. There are a lot of reasons why I would like to make it into a cardigan, as you can see. There's a lot of, when you put memories into things, you kind of just can't let go of them, can you? So, yeah, there's a short update. This is yarn management. If you want more of that, you can go and check out our, check out our podcast on our episodes of the Oddments Cal. So the Oddments Cal has been running since the 31st of October. We do not have an end date on it. It's kind of like continuous in the sense I would like to get it done personally before the end of the year. It's not a project that I want to take into the new year. So I don't know, but I'm trying to move along with it. I know I'm a little bit more ahead than Elizabeth is because of the fact that she has a life outside of crafting. I mean, she has a life outside of this type of crafting, you know, running cals and making things for other people's cals and all that. But we have both been enjoying this a lot. We have invited anyone who would like to make this cardigan following Rosina's recipe to please join us. And I know there are several people on Instagram. We have not opened up a Ravelry thread for this, and so we would be willing to open up a thread, but we didn't receive any comments on that, on any of the 2 episodes that are out right now. We have 2 episodes out that show how we moved along with this, some of the issues that we have had, how we have handled them, including yarn management for me. And so you're more than welcome to go back and watch those. They're up there for your viewing pleasure. Later, after beginning this idea, we decided, well, we're going to call this the Oddments Cardi Cal, but if you have stash that you would like to work into something else, as long as you're using oddments, as long as you're using scraps and pieces and you're not purchasing anything new to make the project, and as long as you are not just using one yarn, So it's not only stash busting in the sense that you can use your stash. You have to use oddments left over from different projects, left over from different scraps and things like that. And then you can join us and work with us until you get your project done and until we get our project done. And so thanks for joining if you already have joined. Thanks for listening if you have watched any of the previous episodes about the Oddments Cardi. Thanks for cheering us on if you are not interested in joining or are not capable of joining, but you really would like to see how this turns out for us. We are definitely want to see how this turns out for us also. So that's project number 1. Project number 2 from my stash I have been working on also for a while is this project from the Crochet Now magazine. It was this issue. Do they even have a number? I really don't even. Issue 54 of the Crochet Now magazine. And if you remember, it's the issue where they were running a series on Podcasting Corner. Although I don't remember if I actually showed you the magazine version, but it was the version where I appeared with a yarny gift that one of the viewers of this podcast had made to me. And they asked me for a picture, kind of. I don't really take a lot of pictures, so I gave them one of my snaps from my podcast. This was one of the versions of the magazine that I really liked a lot of their projects, and this was one. This was what? The Diamonds Are Forever scarf. And do we have the designer here? Probably on the front. The designer is Alessandra Pogigliomi. I probably just ruined that name, but Pogigliomi, I don't know. And so that was her design. And I had she uses cedar yarn in DK. And I don't know, it doesn't say here what blend that yarn is. Yes, it does. It says it's a DK 230 meters, 100 gram balls, 50% acrylic, 50% nylon. 50% acrylic, 50% nylon. So there's her version. Thought it was very nice. I loved the diamonds that formed there. I loved the color coordination that she chose. And I particularly had in my yarn stash something very similar, but not quite. I didn't have any of the blues. Unfortunately, I didn't have any of a nice sky blue, maybe, I didn't have. So, using what I had in my stash, I chose, my table is moving around a little bit here. I chose some Stylecraft DK that I had in my stash because I had purchased a huge batch of it I call it a huge batch, it was huge for me, from Wool Warehouse a while back to make the Spicier Than Life blanket. I think it was part 2, the next Spicier Than Life, not the first one, the second one, that Elizabeth and I were both going to make that blanket, and then came Maria. But anyway, I'm using Stylecraft DK. This is the latest color. It's called Mushroom. Probably not getting a very good view because I have very poor lighting this morning. But anyway, I am on, what am I on here? I have almost 4 panels. I've got a bit to go yet. Where am I? I'm up here. So I've got a little bit to go yet on the 4th panel. But those are my colors. And I wish I could tell you those colors, but ultimately they are just from my stash. I don't know the purple one. The purple one, the very dark purple one, is an even deeper stash. It is not Stylecraft. It's a different DK and quite a bit thinner than the Stylecraft. So I kind of regretted. Maybe I thought maybe I should have used it double or something like that. I don't have that band with me today, though I have a lot of that yarn. I don't know why I have that band with me, but I am using a 3.5 millimeter hook as opposed to the 4 millimeter hook that she recommends for the yarn that she chose, but my yarn is thinner. So I went down to a 3.5. Let's see, some of the colors here are, oh, have you seen that I have a matching bag today, which isn't normal either. This was a Maleficent bag that Elizabeth made for me. And I do love it a lot. And so it is housing this project. This one here, the darker one, is the grape from Style Craft. This is the mushroom. And I believe the other one is a lilac. Let's see. Violet. It's called Parma Violet. And unfortunately, I did not bring up the next color that's going in here. It's of this family here. It's of this family here, but it's got like a purpley pink. It's like a purpley pink. So that's the next color coming up. 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be the 5th color. And because of the fact that my yarn is a bit thinner, I am thinking about ending it in this another strand of this color. But I don't know because it's quite thick right now. It's very long. It's very long. I don't know. I'm thinking that it might be 6 feet already. And it is not a very hot because it's DK, but since you can wrap it around several times, I think that, and with all the times that you could wrap it, that it would, maybe not for the coldest wintry day of your life, but maybe for the cooler days, when it's cold but not freezing cold. I don't know. I don't wear scarves around here, as you can imagine. So she's got, if you'll notice, she's got the fringe at the end. I don't know if I'll end it in a fringe or. So that's my version of the Diamonds Are Forever scarf. And that reminds me of a couple of weeks back we lost Sean Connery, and he was one of my fave actors, except the only movies that I do not frequent are his James Bond series, because I found him very arrogant. I always found that character arrogant, and I hated the male chauvinistic part of it, and the way definitely he had that vibe going on in that series. But it is a Sean Connery film from 1971. And I remember Diamonds Are Forever when we used to go to the drive-in movies. Do any of you still have a drive-in movies theater in your area? We still actually used to have one on the island, and it's about an hour and a half away from here. I don't know if, they probably must have closed it down. But anyway, I do remember drive-in movies and drinking hot chocolate made with water, that my sister would buy a Hershey's bar, and we would melt the Hershey bar into the hot chocolate so it would actually taste good. And yes, we were a family of 11, so going to the drive-in theater with my parents was a big thing. But anyway, so yes, Diamonds Are Forever's brought back memories, and so here it is. This is up to now. It's not finished. It's missing part of the 4th band, and it has a 5th band. But I'll get back to you on that in a update later on. So the next project is also a stash buster, mine and my neighbor's, and it is a hat. It is a pattern that I purchased from, I can tell you in a moment, because that one I do have it online here. It is her version of a flannel print, and when I say her, I am referring to Lisa's Naughty Corner. Lisa with 2 E's instead of an I. Lisa's Naughty Corner. And so, because of the fact that we were doing the Oddments Cal and we were using that those squares joined together without actually making squares. This one kind of reminded me of some of the suggestions that we had for you as to how you could join the Oddments Cal without actually making the cardi. And so this hat called to my attention. I really did like the design. So if you go to the pattern page, actually, my favorite version was this one. It's like, if you can't see it well there, it is like green and a cream color, a lighter green, a darker green, or maybe even a gray. A gray, kind of like a sagey green, and then like a cream ivory color. And that big pom-pom in gray, I really liked that one a lot. I thought that was very cute. So I'll go here to the pattern and tell you what you need for this. It's a size 4 yarn. She used Red Heart Super Saver, and she used a 5mm hook. And I am using Red Heart with Love. Red Heart with Love in the pewter color, which I purchased in my stash for another hat that I didn't ever make. It was going to be a hat in plant pooling, and I just didn't have the patience for the plant pooling. And I've got this yarn from my stash. It looks darker on the screen. It's not actually that dark. It's like a grayish black. It's not a very dark black, like a charcoal or anything like that. Oh, I don't know. It's like a grayish black. I have no idea what company this is from. I believe it to be acrylic. It could have some wool in it because I respond to it. It gets in my nose and in my mouth every once in a while. And then I am using this one, which was lent to me by my neighbor. It's red. Oh, the ball band must be around there because it's one of their metallic colorways. And so I actually, well, my neighbor suggested that was the only red that she had. So if I could just pull out the string of metallic, then I could just use it in my project. And so that's what I did. I sat down for a long while and pulled out all the metallic, and this is where I am at. This is where I am at. I'm hoping to gift it because I was kind of hoping that it would look like, but now that I'm looking at it, I don't think so. I was kind of hoping that it would look like the Michael Jordan colors. I know he has a lot of white, and so I was thinking maybe at some point I would put a ridge of white, maybe go over it here with a ridge of white after I'm finished, or maybe at the bottom, I don't know. But here, you know, I am not a hat wearer, and you know, the hat don't look good on me, but there it is. I'm also thinking that, of course, I saw that it had a brim, and so, well, am I going to look at the way she made her brim? Of course not. I'm going to do brims the way I make them 100% of the time, and I bet you a million that it wasn't the way she made it. I think my brim is actually longer than hers, so I'm going to have to cut my flannel pattern a bit shorter, I think, because I think I'm at the point where I should do some decreases. So there it is. I actually do like it quite a bit. I actually do like it. And I had to, you don't know how many times I redid this because I kept forgetting that I had to do the brim in a smaller hook size. So I was going to tell you I was actually about where I am now when I realized that I hadn't done the brim in a smaller hook size. So I ripped back and I did the brim in a smaller hook size, and then I was right about here again when I realized that I hadn't changed my hook size to a larger hook to make the rest of the hat, which I really do suggest because it does get tight. So if you'll notice, it's using a different version of half double crochets that I had never seen before. It's a version where you yarn over, go through the stitch, yarn over and pull through, And instead of continuing the half double crochet, which you normally would, you take that loop that you pulled through and you pull it through one of the loops on your yarn, and then you yarn over and finish up with the last two. And so if you do that back and forth, not back and forth, we're doing it in the round. So if you do it in the round, you get this zigzaggy texture. I thought that was really cute, and so I liked it. Also, the seam is almost non-visible. I know I have a seam there, notice my stitch markers there, but it's not really as visible as it would have been for other projects. I did not follow her way of doing it. I followed Nomad Stitch's way of joining, pulling everything really tight, and then continuing. And so, yeah, it's not totally invisible, but it's cute. It's okay. So that is my beanie, my ridged beanie in the flannel, and I'm hoping it will fit the person's head that I gift it to. Crochet stretches, right? And so, yeah, that's one of my gifts for the Christmas that I probably have, I think, has been called off this year, as well as Thanksgiving. And so I haven't put up any decorations, no Halloween, no Thanksgiving, no Christmas. I'm just Scrooge, total Scrooge all about it this year, because of the fact that for me, the holidays are about family, and if I can't have them here with me or be with them over there, I kind of like just don't want a holiday. That's just me being Scrooge. Do not let that contaminate your spirit in any way possible. It's just me being me. Of course, I don't have any young kids around the house to nag me about it. Okay, so that's my third project that I wanted to share with you for this morning. I also want to share with you the blouse that I am wearing, the top that I am wearing this morning. If I'll put up a version of this, which is a bit better. Maybe I'll do a small video in here on top of my voice, and I'll overlay it on my voice so that you can watch the actual video while I am talking about it. This is the Bobble in Time top by Claire Smith of the crochetcakes.com, and it's in that kind of like orange pumpkin colorway. And this one is the same yarn, the Kobasi yarn that I used for my Taroko top. And so she's got a string of bobbles around this here and another one at the bottom that you'll see in the photo where I am wearing this. I made it a bit longer than the one Claire Smith made because she is young and beautiful and she can wear crop tops. I am no longer as young or as beautiful, so crop tops do not look as well on me, and so I didn't crop it as much. It's long enough, but not, it's long enough because I don't really wear them that very long either. I didn't want a tunic, but it's not a crop. And so this is my version of the Bobble in Time. It's very ropey, and I am wearing it right now. I do not have on the air conditioning today, but I don't know how hot it would get. So if you're up for it, it is not as much, it's not a great challenge because it's a pretty simple top, but I know I did not use the hook size that she recommended, believing that I used a 3.75 because all the way through, because she changes her hook size. Notice the bobble here goes all the way up this little sleeve, and I find that so cute. And over here too. I found those sleeves very cute. And so it's a great pattern to follow, and also easy enough that you could make it in a short period. It's a free pattern on her blog, but you can also go to Etsy if you want to kind of cooperate with her and purchase the printed version for a small price on Etsy, and go for it. This was going to be my Halloween top, but since I did not celebrate Halloween, it was finished by then, but I did not wear it. And also, I figured that by adding the pop of a color, it wouldn't look so Halloween-y because of the fact that it, kind of takes away from it. So yes, I like it a lot, and I hopefully will be able to wear it. It has not been blacked. It has not even been steamed. I just put it on for you today so I could share it with you. And last but not least, I wanted to also share with you something that hasn't been on this podcast for a while, which was a yarn back in July of 2019. If you want, I can put up the episode so that you can just see the part where I talk about this. I, for Mother's Day, requested that my son gift me a particular, what I thought was yarn, and I purchased and he paid. And when I received it, I realized that I had not bought yarn, but I had bought top. I had bought the material that you spin into yarn. And so I can show you before and after because it was on my podcast, and I'll show you that. And this is what it looks like now. Virtual friend of mine, Melissa, another Melissa, not from Acorn Willows. Melissa's from Kentucky. We befriended through a swap. And in this friendly swap, one of the things I learned about Melissa was that she was a spinner. And so after I requested from you guys any ideas of people who would spin that top into yarn for me, I didn't get any responses, but it dawned on me that I remembered that Melissa was a spinner. So I wrote to her and asked her. She's a very busy person and she's got a complicated life, as we all do, but she so willingly accepted to spin this for me. This is 75% merino and 25% mulberry silk. And so if you'll go to that podcast where I present the top to you, you can see what it looked like and know how it's a very different color. I'm not even getting a good color here, but it's a very different color from the color. It was called peacocky for a reason, right? The top, you could see a lot of purples and blues and greens and pinks, and they have all hidden away. They have all hidden away into this beautiful dark, I'm not sure I would call it a forest green, but there's another green that I'm thinking, maybe a tealy green. It's more like a tealy green because you've got the blues and you've got the turquoise and you've got some pinks in there. You probably can't appreciate it because my lighting is so bad this morning, but it is such a beautiful yarn. And I had purchased this way back then because I wanted to remake the blurred line sweater. And so I had purchased this yarn because I thought I would be able to make the blurred line sweater with those two colors. But I don't know. Right now it's not. Maybe I'll try it. This one is from Lion Brand's Merino Silk Cotton. 50% merino, 25% silk, and 25% cotton. It is a super fine, so it's fingering. And so is this. And so maybe I'll put them together and they'll become a sweater. Or at least a top. I'm thinking about doing it with a short sleeve version of that blurred lines because this is so beautiful. So I'm hoping that I will have enough. I didn't even know how much 8 ounces of top was going to give me. So she got out some 700 something yards from this. And so thank you so much, Melissa, for doing this for me. I think I really asked too much of you, but you put it all together for me, and this is just beautiful. I really do love it. I would just love it. I would just use it alone. If it weren't for the fact that I know that I would never use it because I don't think I can do merino silk on the island. But you know what? I think maybe I could do one of Clarissa Beth's pineapple Las Nubes, because her Las Nubes was done in a single ply. This is plied, she started out thinking that she would do a single ply, but then she said it didn't look right. So I think she did 3 plies. But I think I just want to save it and put it into a little ball and maybe decorate with it, because somebody actually spun yarn for me, and I am so grateful of it. I am really so grateful that she did this for me. So thank you so much, Melissa. And I don't even know how to begin to show appreciation for this. I guess one of the best things is to make it into the most beautiful garment that I can, and some left over, huh? So that's what I wanted to share with you for today. Thanks so much for hanging out. I think this has been a while because I've had several interruptions. I don't know if you've noticed, but I have a couple of alarms on to remind me to do stuff at certain times because I'm very forgetful at this point in my life, and so they've all gone off on me now. I am going to say goodbye, and I'm going to sign off, and I'm going to wish you all to take very much care of yourself. I know that there are a lot of places that are going back into lockdown. It is winter, and it's for some half of the world, let's say, well, maybe not half, but the northern hemisphere at least. And so closing yourself up into houses and restaurants and movie theaters and whatnot was not very good for COVID, for spreading COVID. And so I know it's gotten crazy again in a lot of parts of the world. Here, not so crazy. We still have our nightly lockdowns and our suggestions for always going out and wearing masks. They still have not opened up the airport that is nearest to me, so I am not able to travel yet. But I know I have a lot of hope and a lot of prayers that things will get better and that you will take care of yourself and that you will be able to meet up with me again, once again, in a near future. So until we meet again, keep yourself safe, keep yourself healthy, and keep crafting. Bye for now.